Today we are doing a reaction to comments that I've been getting on a very particular video on my channel, wherein I reacted to, oh my god, RV life is dangerous, man. RV life is dangerous. Good morning. So today is another beautiful day. I thought I would react to some of the comments that I get on a critical video, if you will, that I made against funky frog bait. When I say against, just a difference of opinion when it comes to van life. Her video was titled something like "Van life parents are awful," or I forget the exact terminology she used, but I made a reaction video. And this morning I got another comment that I want to read off, which is the mocking way you said, "The priority is not how comfortable is my kid," as if it shouldn't be one of the top friggin' priorities as a parent, is just bonkers tone deaf. Tone deaf? Okay, I'll be honest, I don't understand the tone deaf part, but I've received lots of this style of comments. It's a straight up cliche for kids to grow up sad when, because they moved around a lot and couldn't make any friends. I bet it may be worse when you never stop moving. I'm sorry, but once you have a child, you live for that child and their need comes first. That's from See Ya Later or Never. Irony, because doesn't that sound like the perfect name for a travel channel? See Ya Later or Never. Okay, Miguel, the cool kid, their first comment was, "No offense, but your kid's comfort should be your number one priority, not travel. My kid is not going to be sleeping in pulled out couches on the floor just because I think making them travel around the world is awesome." So I responded, but he responded with, "You're right, let me reword that. I meant that in no way should the travel life ever be higher on the priority list than your kid's comfort, privacy, and social life. These are all extremely important things a kid should have, and throwing them all away to travel around the world is terrible." By the way, you don't like Wall-E? Oh, yeah, Wall-E is not my favorite movie. What's another one? "Just because you enjoy that lifestyle doesn't mean that your kid does, and your priority should be giving your kid an enjoyable life. So yes, if you have the money, you should in fact give your kids the privacy they should be given, even if you would enjoy the RV life more." I've got a couple that just say funky frog bait is right. They don't go into detail. And then it's great to expose kids to different cultures, but not when the kid is at an age where social skills are important. So don't throw them into a situation where they have to learn a language. Would never do that to a kid. Okay, so anyway, you get the gist of the types of comments. So I thought we'll just talk about it a little bit. Ironically, or not ironically, however you want to term it, my son is not currently RVing with me. He's actually visiting his dad for this summer. And so I don't get to see him, and he doesn't get to enjoy or hate the RV life this summer. So let's go with the first person, which mentioned the concept that, actually several of them mentioned, my priority should be my son's comfort. A lot of them just stopped at comfort. Several of them went into that it should also include privacy, it should include a social life. And do people really believe that when you travel, whether it's RV or a different form of travel, that you lose those things? That you, like, it can only be one or the other. It can only be the comfort of your own home or the extreme harsh, I don't know, pain, I guess, of travel. Like, so one, there's no way you guys haven't heard of travel as a luxury. What do they call that? Glamping. In fact, anyone living in an RV, if you ask people who camp, they will call this glamping. The fact that I bring my own bed, bring my own kitchen, bring my, like, whatever I want to bring with me, is often called glamping, regardless of how high quality the RV is, regardless of if I've got this very kind of rinky-dink RV lifestyle, or if I'm living in luxurious class A, huge, beautiful. People tend to consider this glamping. I think it's fair. I don't think I'm camping when I do RV lifestyle. It's very different. You don't necessarily throw away privacy, and you don't throw away comfort, all comforts, when you travel, but you get to experience different ways of living, experience different situations. For example, the part of the US that I'm in now, I was recently at a laundromat and I was talking to a local.
The cameraman, I have to ask, is it hard to find places to park?
I mean, it can be. And she was mentioning that in this location, even if you have a house, so obviously much more difficult if you've got an RV. The only way to get Amazon deliveries are Mondays and Fridays. I think it was Mondays and Fridays, because deliveries don't come to this part of the US every day. So you cannot get something overnighted pretty much ever, but any Amazon delivery will only happen on Mondays and Fridays. They have gas stations all along this road, and she's like, yeah, they don't all get filled. The further south we are, the closer we are to kind of the bigger cities, those gas stations will almost always have gas. But it's not worth it for the gas companies, the delivery companies. Like, it's not worth it for them to come up here because there's just so few people living here. Hold on. One of the non-luxuries of RV life are mosquitoes. My normal US life includes getting Amazon deliveries pretty much whenever I want it. But there are parts of the US where you can't get that. There are parts of the US where if it occurs to me, hey, I want something like a mosquito zapper, I have to drive to get it. And by the way, there is no Walmart in this area, so I have to drive an hour and a half to get to the nearest Walmart to potentially get a bug zapper, which they may or may not have on hand when I arrive. That's the part of the US I'm living in, but it's a part of the US that Alex wouldn't know about if he didn't travel. Like, travel gives you this knowledge, and experiencing that knowledge firsthand allows that knowledge to sink in so much better than just reading it in a book or even watching a YouTube video. I picture, if I were to prioritize comfort and privacy and social life, how I translate that, if that was my number one priority, and I know this is extreme, but it would be essentially letting my kid do whatever he wants. That's how that translates, right? Like giving my kid whatever he wants and letting him have and do and think and whatever he wants. I want my son to have a good life. I don't expect him to have a travel life in his adulthood because I don't think that's where he leans. And I think for most people that applies. Most people don't want a full-time travel life. So I don't expect my son to have that. But I do expect my son to know how to create the life of his dreams. And creating includes, quite frankly, heartache. It includes failure. It includes hard times, right? The getting to the level where you can create the life that you want, this is not easy. This is why people don't all do it. This is why a lot of people go with the flow and they kind of just react to whatever life gives them. That is not the life that I want for my son. No, I want him to be actively involved in the life he wants to have for himself. It comes through failure. It comes through hard work. It comes through studying. It comes through perseverance and dedication. And these are not words aligned with comfort in my mind. They're just not. I also don't go the complete other extreme, which is a life of complete harshness and complete survival, right? Where he's just trying to live another day. I'm not like, he does have comfort. He does have a cell phone. He does have his own bed, even in the RV, but he has a much larger bed when we're not living in the RV. I'm shocked at the comment that she would never put her child in an environment where they have to learn a new language. How do you think bilingual people have, like, okay, I learned English when I was 7. In the 2nd grade is when we moved back to the US, so my first language was Japanese. Do you know how hard it has been for me to learn Spanish? Like, learning another language is not easy, but for a lot of people, arguably not my son, but a lot of people, learning language at a young age is like the best. It's definitely how I did it. And so the idea that you would purposely not, like, let language building be normal and natural. Also, kids play with each other. It's like a social life. My son has had a social life everywhere he's lived. Has it always been as plentiful as he wants it? No. But if you live in small town America, it's not always as plentiful either. In fact, if you live in a big city, schools tend to have so many cliques. You had your friend group, and just because there were hundreds and thousands of people in your school doesn't mean you had hundreds and thousands of friends, right? Like, you picked your... I find these comments super fascinating that we live in this very all or nothing kind of environment of, if you're not prioritizing comfort, then your child's life must be so uncomfortable. And I think that's a little extreme to make that leap. So I will say still, no, comfort is not the most important thing in my life, and it's not the most important thing in my son's life. Does he want to be comfortable? Does he want to sit on a couch all day long and play video games, never exercising his body? Sometimes, yes. Yes, and we have bad posture because of this. So obviously I do allow my son to have stupid, independent moments where he hurts himself. Yes, and he's the most comfortable, he says, when he's sitting on the couch in bad posture playing a video game for hours and hours at a time. He's the most comfortable. Horrible for him. Like, having travel life, being able to leave your house, be awed, first of all, by the things we see, is such a plus. But this idea that comfort should be a priority, I don't see the benefit of a soft life. I don't see the benefit of having literally whatever you want at the tip of your fingertips. I understand we want it. I understand it. But I don't understand thinking that actually attaining that would lead to any kind of a positive outcome. So I thought I would do a quick rant, just kind of reacting to these comments. I think I covered them all. I'll tell you in a minute. I should be arriving at the place I'm trying to get to in a second. But why would comfort ever be anyone's first priority? Like, when my mother was dying of cancer, when she was in hospice, all she had left was comfort. So if my mom asked to eat unhealthy foods that she loved, if my mom asked, open the curtain, close the curtain, bring up the bed, bring down the bed, change the channel, like whatever this woman wanted in her dying days was given to her. Like 100% was given to her, okay? Because she was dying. There was no like, oh, maybe she'll get better in a little bit and then it'll all be good. So when she was dying, absolutely the priority was make her comfortable. Whatever my mother wanted while she was dying, 100%. While she was living, while she was able to thrive, this means challenges. This means doing the things that are not necessarily comfortable. I guess I could do a whole different video on privacy and what was the other one? Comfort, privacy, social life. Because unless you're traveling to the corners of the earth where there aren't a lot of people, in which case I could argue, sure, yeah, there's probably not a social life in Antarctica. Although I heard recently that there is. Not necessarily for children, but like there are people going to Antarctica for fun. What a crazy concept.
We have officially departed for Antarctica.
Anyway, there are corners of the earth where there's not a lot of people, and so having a social life will be more difficult. But certainly the places I've gone to, I have seeked out community for my son. This takes effort. This is not something that's easy to do. It's not comfortable. As an introvert also, not comfortable for me to do, but it is something I prioritize. I want my son to learn not only my opinion on things, which I do want him to know my opinion on things, but I want him to learn other people's opinion on things. You know, I want that. I want that confusion of knowing that there's more than two sides to a story. There's more than two sides to a concept. There's more than like you're either for it or against it. No, there's nuances everywhere. And for him to figure that out, for him to understand that, he has to talk to lots of people. So I want that for him. I don't think that's easy. I find the irony as an introvert, and my son is less of an introvert than I am, but as an introvert, the idea that you would mix comfort and social life in the same sentence, I find that hilarious. Nevertheless, my son does have friends, and when we move, when we travel to new locations, I seek out company for him. I seek out friendships for him to give him the opportunity to have friends approximately his own age, right? But that's not easy, but I do it. I don't understand the easy life. I don't understand the soft life or the soft era. To me, the soft era is when you're dying. It's maybe when you're first born. Maybe. Although I don't think it's easy as an infant, as a 1-day-old to figure out how to say, I'm hungry. or I need my diaper changed. Like that's not easy either. And I say I gave my mom all the comforts. She wasn't comfortable as she was dying. That is like, it's just not life. To focus on comfort is not life. To focus on health, I think is brilliant, right? And so I do think how you sleep in your bed, having a bed that you can fully lay down on most nights. So I've been sleeping in this hammock every single day since we bought it. Not necessarily every night, but most nights, I do think is a priority. I think the ability to be able to stand and be able to use your muscles in all its capabilities is important, right? Being able to eat healthy foods for your body so it can continue growing and doing what it needs to is important. I'm not saying we do that every day. I absolutely have junk food moments, and they are much more frequent than I would like them to be and much more frequent than they should be. Okay? But my point is, comfort is not the number one goal. And while it's always good to hear what other people suggest for you, and I love comments even if they disagree with me, it's not, life is not about going with the things that other people tell me to do. That's just not what, like life, you have to define what's right for you, and you have to define what your own priorities are. Well, okay, you know what? This video is going to get way too long, so we're going to stop here. But no, my son's comfort and my own comfort is just not the most important thing in my life. There are things that would make my life more comfortable, that I have the ability to purchase or the ability to get, that I wait on. Will I one day get it? Maybe. But it getting everything that pops in my head as something I want is not a priority, and I don't want it to ever be a priority for my son. It might become his priority. I don't know. I don't control what his priorities are. Yeah, as his parent, my goal for him is to learn character of mind, body, soul. I want him to become a better person, and I want him to help others, not as his life goal per se, but I want his existence to help others in some way. And for that to happen, he can't have the soft life, the comfortable life, the silver spoon in his mouth. Like that's not how it's done. So thank you, first of all, for watching that video and responding to it. I really appreciate it. I'll link the video that people are responding to. Maybe you need that for context. Could be important. And then in that video, I do link to Funky Frog Bass video if you haven't seen it yet. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this rant. And I gotta go shopping because, yeah, part of RV life.